2026 business meeting for the Board of Commissioners of Upper Gwynedd Township to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deanna, will you please do the roll call?
Rebecca Moody, President.
Here.
Denise Hall, Vice President.
Here.
Catherine Carter, Commissioner.
Here.
Liz McNaney, Commissioner.
Here.
Gregory Mull, Commissioner.
Here.
Sandra Zadell, Township Manager.
Here.
Megan Hurst, Assistant Township Manager.
Here.
Sydney Youngblood, Township Solicitor.
Here.
Nicholas Cross, Township Engineer.
Here.
Brian Shapiro, Finance Director. David Duffy, Chief of Police.
Thank you. Moving to item number 4, we do have a presentation by Montgomery County Planning Commission for our Parkside Playground Revitalization. Someone wants to come up and present for us.
Get this all started. Jeff will also be presenting, but hi, my name is Margo Petruska. I am a senior community planner at Montgomery County Planning Commission, and I, alongside my colleague Jeffrey Vaughn, will be presenting on the public outreach and concept planning for the Parkside Playground Revitalization. Okay. Do I need to press something? No problem. Alrighty. So about a little over a year ago now, the township had reached out, and we have a community assistance contract with the township. And so I was working as the planner for Montgomery County before. And so the township reached out to have a discussion about the Parkside Playground, and that there might be some need for revitalization and some work done, as it's now over 30 years old. And a few years ago, there was an assessment done by Leathers and Associates, who had done the initial playground, and there was a determination that there needed to be some work done to also bring it into code with ADA. And also, it's a wooden playground that's 30 years old, and it's been amazing and held up fantastic, but there would be some changes needing to happen in the future. And so we were brought on board to help work on the outreach process and doing some surveying, public meetings, and concept planning alongside our design team. And so we organized and we formed, so also working, I'll go on to the steering committee, but working with Sarah Priebus in the Parks and Recreation Department to create a steering committee. And we had a great steering committee, members of the public, to help bring this all together. And so the objective and the main goal was to gather the insights of and the needs for the Upper Gwynedd community and create a conceptual design for a new playground or a revitalized playground, including potential locations of amenities, pathways, and more, as well as to ensure residents are heard through the public meetings, surveys, and tabling events. And we wanted to ensure that there was some nature-based solutions, because the playground is very unique in that it's completely covered in a tree canopy, and there's a lot of mature trees that a lot of playgrounds don't have. I wanted to make sure that we respected the history and retained the magic of the current playground. And so here we had an amazing steering committee. We had Lynn, Anthony, Fred, Amy, Layla, and Yvonne. And then we also were working with the township staff. So Sarah, Leah, Megan, Bakir, Liz, Greg, Denise, Rebecca. And so a lot of people had been coming to meetings, but our official steering committee was from the public. But we had a lot of township staff come and hear through the different public meetings and see through the outreach and be great resources and provide some amazing input. And then from the county, we had myself and then Jeffrey Vaughn, who's our design manager. He will be presenting on the whole concept plan, and Patty Gutenplan, who's our deputy director, right over here.
Hi, as Margot said, my name is Jeffrey Vaughn. I'm a landscape architect. I'm the design manager for the Planning Commission. And I was brought on board basically to help guide the design process and the concept design for the playground based on all the input and steering committee feedback that we got. And so just in brief, first thing that we look at when we talk about design is we look at the existing context in the existing playground layout. So you'll see in these two aerials, basically the green circles that are surrounding that darker brown area, which is the playground, is that mature canopy of trees that is surrounding the playground. And that's something that we found is really unique to this playground and really wanted to kind of maintain that character. And then a little bit closer to the right image is that existing layout of the kind of that octagonal fence structure, and then the darker brown castle area, and some of the other pieces where we kind of identify where all those things are. We kind of go and look and say, the locations of where these play spaces, are they in the right location? Do they need to be more? Do they need to be less? Bigger areas and those kinds of things. So these two images basically get to that. And one of the main things that we heard throughout is that superstructure and the entry tower and that character is very important to maintain. So I'm going to throw it back to Margot to go a little bit more into the process and the into the process.
Okay, so we had a few phases. We went through initial research, community engagement, and surveying, the initial concept plan and feedback engineer report, which was an add-on, and then the final report, which is what you're seeing right now. And so, as we mentioned before, we formed a steering committee and did some conducting of preliminary research and site visits to different playgrounds in the region. So we conducted a playground tour and visited 7 playgrounds in the region and got to play in the middle of winter in the snow. And to get we also conducted research into the types of grants they did, or the grants they had, and talked to a lot of the administration at these different parks as well to see how their process for surveying was, what their concept plan development was like, to help guide our research. We also went into different playground reports and global trends, looking at national study of playgrounds to see where are kids wanting to play, what type of play is most interesting, and what will be the future for different play. And so there was also the analysis of the Leathers inspection, which had happened a few years ago in 2022 on the condition of the playground. And so the playground tour, what we essentially came together to find is that it's very important to preserve the history of the playground. Not only at Parkside, very clearly, it's a destination playground. You see it outside how many people are playing on the structure, but it has a community build history, and so many people were involved in the process. People that were involved in the first process are involved in this process now, which we're very grateful about. And so some other things that we gathered is accessibility is key. Right now, the structure and the playground is not ADA compliant, and with the new playgrounds that are coming in, it's really important. And we found that through surveying too, that community members want this accessibility and inclusivity for their play structures. We've also found that the most utilized pieces through conversations with the different municipalities were large climbing structures, gliders, spinners. Shade structures dramatically change the atmosphere of the playground. And once again, Parkside is really unique in that it already has all these trees, and so many new playgrounds are just on a completely open space. And that really makes it difficult for like parents to just sit out for a really long time in the heat, and heat island effect that makes everyone just more uncomfortable. And so we really wanted to make sure that to preserving the existing trees and encouraging native plantings, things like that were emphasized to retain the natural feel. And so we also analyzed the Leathers assessment. Basically, what the assessment said is that the main structure should be replaced, but the superstructure appears to be in okay shape, and it didn't seem to have any structural concerns at the time. It's not compliant with ADA, and then they rated some of the pieces. We also, looking at playground reports, water play is a favorite for all ages. Play features utilized most are swings, climbers, and what makes a great space to play is your context and the environment, the physical play that you have, and sensory play, adding things like higher speeds, moving parts, things like that. And so the bulk of the work was through the community engagement and surveying. And so we had tabling, we had some tabling events at the Unity for Kindness. We also tabled outside at the annual swim meet to hear firsthand how the kids are using the structure and the playground and what parents were thinking about it as well. And then we conducted 3 surveys. We did a general public online survey and then 2 print surveys for teens and youth. And so the community events, what we found through the tabling, we did different dot charts and seeing this or that activities. What was most popular in the existing playground is the superstructure, swings, hanging equipment, and the sand, which also can be the least favorite. So you'll see that a little bit later, but sand is a big hot topic. And then things like this or that activity. The kids preferred ones with climbing elements, less static, flexible materials, group swings, and climbing equipment that's above the ground, things like webbing. Our general survey had in total, or all surveys in total, had about over 680 responses, which was pretty incredible. And they were still coming in and hearing a lot of amazing feedback in all different channels. And so what we gained from this is that residents are choosing Parkside, and also people not residents are coming to the playground but they're choosing it because it's so unique. The wooden natural feel is what is making it is one part of what's making it so special. And some things people would like to see change: the ground surfacing, replacing the wooden chips with safety surface, the accessibility and inclusivity aspect, shade and comfort seating, having more seating, picnic areas, particularly in the younger area, because it is more separate and there's not as much shade when you go to the toddler area. So adding more shade, and then having some clearer navigation, sight lines and layout. And we see a lot of the similar in the teen and youth survey as well. What they like the most is how big it is. And that's another thing that's so unique about Parkside is the size. The castle, places to hide and have this imaginative play where you can kind of create your own world. What they didn't like, the wood chips, sand pit. But again, on other things, what they do like, the sand pit. So who's to say on that one? But the Dream Playground has some big equipment or a castle, a lot of climbing, tall slides, and spin equipment, and nature, animal, space type themes. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but we had some, on our youth survey, we had options to draw in instead of writing. So we had some really great pictures and drawings. And so some of these came out to be a looping slide, big swings, a large structure, water features, climbing structure, wall, netting, tunnels, and things like that. And you'll see how on the left, there is like a web netting that was really, really interesting. And we kind of integrated that, or Jeff integrated that into the playground. And another thing was 64 responses. The bottom photo shows like how wild would you like your playground to be? And the majority of kids were saying they wanted the most wild. So a little bit more integrated into rather than the typical prefab playground. So we had our initial concept plan and feedback. We coordinated with our steering committee, which we also had, I believe, 7 meetings in total throughout the past year, and then had experience from both Upper Gwynedd and our staff and presented the preliminary concept plan and received some feedback. And so now I will hand it over to Jeff.
Temporarily. I'm back. So going a little bit into the concept. All of the things that Margot just stated, we really heard what the community wanted. That nature-based theme, and how do we incorporate that into the concept design. So we developed a different theme for the playground, which is not necessarily castle-based or the science-based, but a magical forest, kind of this play space within the setting that it's at, the nature-based theme collection of spaces where kids, teens, and community can explore their creative side, play, and exercise together. That kind of guides what we are thinking about. And the pictures that we are seeing here kind of are inspiration for, as I'm developing a concept design, I kind of look to other play spaces and how we can maybe incorporate some of these things, or what the feel, the look and feel of what this concept is going to invoke. And one of the important things about developing a concept is really coming up with design principles and key features. And they went around 3 different themes. So environmental sustainability, site design, and equipment. Out of order here. Not quite sure what happened. Bear with me. Somehow I'm missing this slide. So I can actually, that's right. So, so the design principles are very important. Basically, some of these things from the environmental sustainability point, we want to retain as many of those mature trees as possible, so designing around them. We want to incorporate multiple nature interpretive and educational opportunities throughout the space. The site design, retaining that tower entry and single point of entry was important, that we heard throughout the process, and retaining that superstructure if at all possible. Integrate mounding and tunnels to add some more variety to the space. Right now, there's a lot of elevation change within the structure itself, but how do we do that and also maintain that sight line? We can have low mounding that you can see over, but it also kind of separates those spaces. You'll see how we integrate that a little bit later. And we're going to, and then integrate more of that parent seating throughout the space. So not just all outside this playground, but have more seating in the spaces itself is important. And then and then the equipment side. So incorporating that large primary play structure, utilize nature-based play structures. So coming back with more of that wood feel, because that's something that was important and came across through the surveys. And in water play was important. So that can range from a stream to water jets to misters. So I think we kind of landed on maybe a more mister, just to kind of cool that, because even though it is in that shade and those trees, there are open areas where it does get really hot, and there are some openings in there. So we want a place to be able to cool down. And then adding more of the swings and slides. So we developed a preliminary concept, and this concept, you can see the different colors. They identify the different spaces. This is very preliminary and kind of just identifying the spatial characteristics and the size. And what this does is it expands the play space a little bit more than what the existing size is, which the current size is about 27,000 square feet. This is probably about 37,000 square feet in total, but it allows for a little bit more of that openness, kind of opening the site up and making those sight lines better for parents to see their kids running around. And then, so that pink circle is that kind of toddler area. Before it was in the back. Now we're kind of moving it up to the front. The whole playground is still surrounded by a fence with one point of entry, which was very important. And we're retaining that point of entry, that tower that you enter through now, that is intended to remain. And then that large castle structure is also intended to remain if possible. And, you know, that has been, we'll hear a little bit more about how we handle that later with some analysis we had on it. And we think that it's still viable to use and retain. But this is a concept plan, so we have to keep that in mind. And basically, if not, that large superstructure is still an important piece to make this an iconic destination playground. So with that, we also got some. So after we presented this preliminary concept plan, we allowed for the community to give some more feedback. We presented that in a public setting. People could give public feedback online and or in the meeting itself. Is there anything else that you want to add on this one?
Just that online, you were able to go exactly on the plan and pick where you wanted to comment. So you could really have, we had a lot of people respond to specific pieces of equipment or things like that. So it was a really great format to hear back.
Yeah, and you could see like the important things from that is the ADA compliance, activity panels such as sensory puzzles and sensory play, and that we, you know, and then from that feedback we developed a final concept plan. But there's a couple other steps in between that and here. And Margaret talked about the structural.
Okay, so right before we were going to present for the final concept plan, we realized that while the goal is to retain the main castle structure if possible, we didn't feel like we could really recommend that without having some engineering or structural engineering report to find out, is this even something that we can recommend? Obviously, as Jeff said, it's a concept plan, so there will be deeper processes going on, but so basically we had some conversations with Sarah and the township about having a determination of the superstructure. And so they conducted a structural investigation. And so this was observational, but they were evaluating the main superstructure. And so essentially what they said is that there's no structural integrity concerns at the time. They didn't really observe any. They had some comments about where it could be filled because there could be splinters, or a kid could get their finger stuck in an open grain edge. But essentially that the framing and connections and decking all seem to be in very good condition. They made a comment about the roof and how there's some debris, some little comments like that, and that the appearance is formidable but dark, and they said severely limited sight lines from outside of the structure, which is what we heard in the surveys and also just from kids and parents throughout the entire process of wishing that they could see a little bit more, and also that it's hard for them to get in if their kids needed anything. And so this was the observation they had. They did also look at some other play equipment, but for the sake of, there wasn't too many other comments that they had, and essentially they were just looking at the main structure. And so they had some comments about how to improve the lighting and sight lines, modifying some railing slats so essentially they're not structural, so you could take out some of the railings that make it so dark and potentially add in a clear, which Jeff will talk about in a second, like a clear or colored panel to open this up a little bit more if you wanted to revitalize with the existing structure, and to modify some connections, but essentially that there wasn't any structural concerns that they had, with the limitation that it was observational. And so there wasn't any analytical review because they'd have to do that to really not take apart the structure, but do some more work without the forensic disruption of the structure. So this is what they came out with. And now Jeff, so we wanted to have that before we came out with the final concept plan. So based off of the preliminary and that report, Jeff has come with the final concept plan.
Final concept plan. So the final concept plan, as you can see, the general shape and the coloring and everything is virtually the same as what the preliminary concept was. But what we did here is I wanted to see, how many play structures and things we could fit in there with the appropriate place, safety, fall zones, and in that regard. And we worked with a manufacturer, Compan, and they had a lot of the play structures and the wood play structures that we were kind of leaning towards to implement into this playground. And so we were able to download a lot of their play structures and things and rearrange them on the site and get them in this final concept plan. So you can see the 2 to 5 year old area is in that pinkish circular area. The 6 to 12 year old areas around the main superstructure in that orange area. And then there's a lot of other areas, which is more that is where anybody can play, it's 6 to 12 plus or adults, or there's a sensory play area and things along those lines. And then the water misting area. And then how did we incorporate the sand, which is that most controversial topic. So that's the overall. And then we go into some of the more details. So the 2 to 5 year old toddler area, what kind of structures can be seen here? So typically each of these areas has a kind of a larger play structure. You can kind of see that at the top center with that kind of green hat and that mystical forest area. There's our opportunities on to the right for table and group play. You have a Springer there. Opportunities for imaginative play. There's these 3 boards and the third one down on the right, and then some stepping stools, which could be also act as seating. And then the water and sand table play area in that darker brown area. I can point out here, that ends up out here. So that is a universally accessible play sand and water table play area, and shouldn't get as messy, but there's going to be some messy. Kids like to get messy. And then one of the things we wanted to do is kind of that separation of the toddler area, and that you can see this green curl coming around from that main entry is a mound. So that's mounded up for 3 to 4 feet with a tunnel through it, and then a slide, an embankment slide. You can kind of see coming down here that it's wide and kids on it. Toddler swings, a swing that a baby and their mom can be on there, a bird's nest swing, and then that vision of that mound with those tunnels through it. And then benches and seating with a new tree here to kind of add some shade as well. The 6 to 12 year old area concept, that main superstructure kind of remains intact, and I did a little Photoshop work to kind of imagine what that might look like, and we're thinking of this as kind of a treehouse scenario, the treehouse in the forest. So opening up that bottom, keeping the main structural supports, and then trying to open that up, and then underneath there can be some smaller pieces. All of this, again, has to be vetted through structural and engineering and things like that during the design development phase. Another embankment slide is another mound on this side, kind of coming through. Group swings. Again, if friends like to swing, and there's a long rope they can all sit on and swing back and forth. New slide on the side, kind of giving that speed aspect to the slide. Hammocks that kids can gather on and swing on. Traditional swings, and then some of the benches and curved picnic tables as well. And then the other areas, this is kind of just a collection of spaces where, that gray area here is kind of a ninja warrior, ninja obstacle course. We have that netting structure around an existing tree, that climbing on the netting. You can kind of see the examples in these 2 images. Fabric shade structure kind of central to it. So, and if you're sitting under there on the chairs or benches, you can see kind of this whole space where everything is. There's a spinner. This area here is nature-based music and sensory play. So there's some really cool music instruments and those kinds of things that are flowers and mushrooms and bells and whistles. And then the water play area, that mister and the oversized leaf canopy is kind of in imagining in those areas. And then just a storage and utility shed. Typically, you always want to have something along those lines just for maintenance and tools and things like that. So keep in mind, this cost estimate is budgetary purposes, basically. There's a lot of unknowns. As you move through design development phase for a project like this, you're kind of making a lot of assumptions that can be done, can't be done, materials, but there are some things. So all the play equipment that we are showing in there from Compan, I got numbers from Compan for installed costs. So those are kind of accurate. The ground surfaces, like the play safety surfaces, concrete, those are kind of standard. Those are standard numbers that our industry use, and there's a low number and a high number that we use. So that's why we give you a range of the total costs. And then the soft costs and contingencies are basically added in there because as you move through a design process, there's all kinds of design fees, permitting, all kinds of other things that need to be added in there, and escalation as well.
Jeff, that does include full design costs?
The soft costs will be in that soft cost.
All design, okay, thank you.
Jeff, did that include delivery as well? I knew that we talked in some of the planning meetings that the delivery can be kind of expensive, and I didn't know if that was included here.
I don't think he gave me that. He gave me installed cost, so basically what the piece cost and then what it would cost to install it. So that delivery that might be one of those things in that 30% of the total cost that I came up with. Yeah.
Excuse me. You had said earlier when you were talking about the traditional that they wanted visually to be able to see their kids. But when you built the tunnel, there's no little windows or anything in the tunnel.
It's
That green thing that you.
right. So yes, it's probably, I think I'm showing this at like 10 feet and it's about 4 feet in height.
It has to be accessible, I assume.
Yes.
Right, so it's wide
So
enough.
you would be able to see in it and like it's not like the superstructure now where if your child is in there and you're screaming, you can't see or you can't get to them. If they're screaming inside that tunnel, it's just an open end on either side. You can just kind of peek down and see your child. So there is an element of play for kids that they want to not be seen, but this is an element that you can add in here and also be able to get to them quickly and find them quickly.
Jeff, you said that it was, right now it's about 20,000 square feet now,
27,000,
27,000, and then what would it be?
37,000.
37, okay, thank you.
So if you go back to the overall, so we expanded, like right now the fence line kind of comes right behind the superstructure and around. We've expanded out in this area. There's a lot of lawn area and we kind of expanded this way a little bit. These areas here are pretty much where the fence lines are. So we kind of expanded a little bit, but not in all areas. Mm-hmm.
I have a question. And I'm sure Lori's already, in fact, you should talk to Lori about this if you guys didn't build this into the plan. So all this is so amazing. Like this stuff is so fun. I'm so excited about all these little details and the kids. I can't wait to see it. I'm super excited. But obviously, because it has so many fun, detailed things, some of these are not going to take wear and tear so well. I would think some of these little stations are more likely to break sooner and need to be completely replaced or have like one piece that typically wears out sooner than the rest. Mm-hmm. Is that something that since we're talking about the budget and numbers, is that something that you anticipate when you design it and add a section or a dollar amount to reflect that?
At this concept level, I don't think I added that into the design concept cost, the concept cost. When you work with a manufacturer, and it's like if all your equipment's going to come from either Compan or some other manufacturer, whoever you choose to use, they have warranties, and they have, I'm sure you can get extended warranties, and you can work out all those details with them. There's certain pieces, like more of the movable pieces,
Right.
are going to be a little bit less of a warranty because they're movable and they're breakable more, but they have the stock and the pieces, and you work with them to kind of get those replaced and
Yeah,
over time.
because some of it we're just going to have to see probably just what gets the wear and tear and what doesn't. But it would be nice to get a jump on that and be able to figure some of that out
Right.
when we're budgeting how much we can do, you know.
Right.
They also, most of their equipment and the different types of materials they have on their website and also in communication with them, the warranties on each piece and each type of equipment.
Okay.
So their steel equipment, I think, was up to 25 years or more. Like a
Oh,
lot of it
okay.
ranges. Some of the
Right.
wood, also in the usage of wood, what they use is Ravinia wood, so it doesn't,
It doesn't degrade as fast, but it probably lasts a little bit longer. It doesn't allow the bugs or things to bore inside of it because it's a harder wood, and it has natural ability to reject that kind of nuisance. But the wood sometimes does, like the wood structure that you had out there typically probably only should have lasted 10 to 15 years.
Oh, wow.
It's lasted 30 years that. Based on.
That's a testament
It's
to
a
our
testament.
amazing
It's a
staff.
great testament to your amazing staff to keep that going and making sure that it is safe for your community to use. So, you're always going to have, no matter what kind of playground piece that you buy or build, there's going to be that maintenance aspect. So I'm sure that I can try to find some numbers to try to build that in there a little bit if that's something that's desired. But
I just thought because we typically don't have a whole team and committee and experts
yeah, one of
coming
the
up with
things,
ideas of the things that we do. And since there was so much time put into it.
right, and one of the things is because you're going, the desire is to go to a rubber safety surface instead of the wood mulch, so that wood mulch wouldn't have to be as replaced as often. So there's things that'll kind of be trade-offs as well.
Yeah. And that was already reflected in the price that.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. So next steps, Margot is going to just go through one slide, I think, on real quick, and then we can wrap up. If you have any other questions, we'll be happy to answer.
So, as Jeff went over, the very varied cost estimate. And so just as something that would be in the conversation and next steps, how is this going to be paid for? So there's a lot of grants and fundraising options available. And so this is based off of other playgrounds in the region and the state, some grants that they typically get. And so a lot of grants for playgrounds are from DCNR. And the majority of the playgrounds that we toured also had hundreds of thousands of grant dollars invested in it and fundraising. And we're seeing playgrounds that are being built right now in neighboring communities that have 1.5 million in fundraising, things like that. And so while there will be a cost to this playground, we're pretty confident that there are a lot of options and a really great and passionate community to help it come together. And so some grants available are the C2P2 grant, which is park rehab and development. Those are typically between $100,000 and $250,000. They do typically require a match. We have a county grant that would only be limited towards like landscaping, the expansion of the areas, and not the playground itself. But those are typically, they can go up to $250,000. CDBG was in there because it's a possibility. It's a housing and community development grant, and so there has to be requirements for accessibility and low to moderate income. I just had a conversation with them today, and it seems like if there's improvements on parking or seating or things outside, that could be a possibility, but for the actual structure, that doesn't just that I found out today. It doesn't seem to be as likely as an option, but other DCD grants, and then a lot of fundraising options, which we've talked with Sarah a lot about, and I know she has amazing ideas for how to fundraise. So things like sponsorships, memorial fences, movie nights, festivals, runs, having a similar setup, how there's all the names of the fence pickets around, and we have a lot of people that were here that donated and fundraised for that. So things like that, which I'm sure will be a continued conversation throughout it. But that is that. We went definitely over and apologize for that. Yeah, thank you all so much. It's been great working with everyone and Parks and Rec and Sarah and our steering committee. We're very happy to bring it to you guys.
Thank you to Margot and Jeff, and Patty. We really appreciate everything you guys did and put together and worked with the team. I was at a couple of those meetings and they were a lot of fun and well attended. So thank you very much.
The baked good, by the way.
That's right. Great baked goods. That's right.
Thank you.
Any other board members have any other comments? Okay, moving on to number 5. Ms. Youngblood, have there been any executive sessions?
Yes, the board met in executive session to discuss matters of litigation.
Thank you. Josh, I believe we had one public comment on the line. Okay. We didn't have anybody else sign up, but we did have a couple people enter after public comment signing was closed. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to make public comment? Okay. Moving to number 7. I'd like to make a motion to approve consent items A through H. May I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? Deanna, will you please do the roll call?
President Moody,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney,
Aye.
Commissioner Mall.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 8, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 07-2026 for the employee contributions to the police pension plan. May I have a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 9, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 09-2026 for mission and vision statements. May I have a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion passes. And then moving right into public safety, I will pass this to Vice President Hall.
Thank you, President Moody. I just wanted to ask Brian Shapiro just to say a couple words about this item, just for everybody's information.
Megan, could you click on, so that people that are new to our meeting can see that if you click on the link, if you have it, if you're looking at it online, if you click it on, our agendas have everything printed out that, or everything listed that we get with some background. So thank you. Thank you, Megan.
Yes, good evening. Before you tonight is a
I don't
resolution.
think the microphone's on.
It says green.
Is it? Oh, there you go. I can hear you now.
Anyway, before you tonight is a resolution to approve a volunteer stipend for the emergency services, fire, BMSC, anyone that volunteers within the community. Last year, if you remember, I believe around September, the board repealed the ordinance that was in place at the time, which was the old practice of getting a reduction in their earned income tax and real estate taxes. We presented a model that we thought was simplified and provided an added benefit to all the volunteers. So this is a yearly resolution that the board would have to approve. So last year, after we repealed the ordinance and adopted the resolution, that was for volunteer service in the year 2024. What you're before you tonight is for 2025. And then moving forward, every December, you'll get a resolution to approve. So this is, again, just a flat $500 stipend based on points in the county ordinance to qualify for a volunteer stipend.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro.
Any other questions?
Thanks. I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 08-2026 volunteer stipend.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And also, I did have to say one more time. Last time I'll say it. Trivia night is happening from our fire department. Saturday, March 21st. Doors open at 6 p.m. You can register on their fire department, their Facebook page or their website. Remember, they're all volunteers, so their fundraisers really go a long way. So last time I'll mention that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. And I'll pass it to you, Commissioner Mole.
Thank you, President Moody. Agenda item number 11, I'm making a motion to authorize the advertisement of the bid for backup generators for 2 public works garages. These facilities are critical to maintaining our essential municipal operations, especially during emergencies, very evident over the last recent couple of storms and power outages we've all experienced. This is budgeted for in the capital improvement plan, or included in the capital improvement plan.
Thank you. I have a motion. Is there a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? I actually have one question. I don't know if this is for you, Sandra. So there are currently no backup generators in there.
You gonna force me to answer that? Yes,
mean, it
currently,
seems-
we do not have backup generators at the Public Works garages.
Okay. Thank you. Motion and, any other board comments? Any public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
Agenda item number 12, I'm making a motion to approve payment number 1 to KBC Construction for sidewalk replacement at Huntington Place in the amount of $17,750, and this was already approved in the 2025 budget.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? Come on up. I know you know this, but just make sure that light's on.
William Jackson, I'm a resident on Park Road. Where is Huntington Place?
No, but this is one, isn't this one of those don't you know about this project, the stormwater? Or you don't? I don't. If you don't? I don't know. Lori, where's Huntington Place? It's in the township, Bill. It's in Upper Gwynedd.
It's off of Sullivan.
Thank you. It's off of
off of
Sullivan.
Sullivan.
Nick, good job, Nick.
And why is it the township's responsibility to replace the sidewalk?
I'm working blind. Can I see that?
You want me to take this one?
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Yes. So this is a sidewalk that's not in front of a property. It's in front of a stormwater easement area.
Okay.
And currently, what was out there was, it was like a 4-foot depression. So the sidewalk came straight down, and then it was like a swale that pulled all the stormwater from the cul-de-sac of Huntington Place into the township stormwater easement. The issue that we were currently having is there's a lot of foot traffic toward the elementary schools over there. And that drop down, that like 6-inch drop, is very non-ADA compliant. So because it is the township's easement area, it was our responsibility to make sure that people could safely travel through there and the water would still be able to make its way into the swale. So what this project did was really just reorient that sidewalk there so that we could still have access through, public walking, and also the water to be able to drain right in there.
All right. So that's good news, and I'm on record as being pro sidewalk. The two things I will add, just since we're talking about sidewalks, One, with the last snowstorms, I tried to pay attention to traffic down Church Road. Anything that we can do to get sidewalks, at least on one side of Church Road between Sumney and the SEPTA station, I'm always advocating for. And with those heavy snows, saw some bus stops where people were trudging through the snow to get to their pole for their bus stop. So I think sidewalks are important in general, and so I'm glad that we are making that accessible if there's traffic there. So that was kind of like my main reason of asking. If we're going to spend that amount of money, we need to find some way to get sidewalks on Church Road. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Bill, we do also have a development that's currently in the, agreements phase right now that is going to be adding some sidewalk along that frontage that you're talking about. So there's some coming right now that we do not have to pay for. Yes, the developer is paying that.
Good point. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait, is this a roll call? Sorry about that. Deanna, will you please do the roll call?
President Moody,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney,
Aye.
Commissioner Mull.
Motion passes.
I'm going to butt in before Commissioner Carter goes because I want to share some exciting news about the next item that Commissioner Carter is going to talk about. This is why I thought you were here, Bill. Upper Gwynedd Township was recently awarded a $1.2 million grant to construct a trail on Mill Road through the Pembroke Parkway, or not Pembroke Parkway, to Pembroke Middle School, not Parkway, over behind the middle school, over connecting to Winnoor. Very exciting because it's 100%. There is no matching fund required with this grant funding source. It's the TASA grant. So we are super excited. And item 13 is engineering for said grant. So very important to be able to, TASA grant funding comes with a time limit. That's like, they're giving you a lot of money, but you need to construct in the timeline that they've authorized. So it's important to get started right away with that engineering.
Thank you for that update.
Thank you.
The next section is yours, Commissioner Carter.
Thank you. Number 13, a motion to authorize the township manager to execute a professional services agreement with Michael Balker International for engineering and design services related to the Pembroke Winnoor Safe Routes to School Trail Project in accordance with the scope of services and compensation outlined in the agreement, as per what Sandra said.
We have a motion. May I have a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? What does this bring our total grant funding to? Over 4 million?
It's over 5.
Over 5 million.
I want to make sure the mic captures my response. 5.4 million since 2020.
Thank you. Any public comments? Come on up.
Yeah, I just want to speak in support of this announcement and the fact that you all backed the grant application originally, and this will be the first significant dedicated trail really in the township. We have that small segment there off of, names escape me right now, but
Moyer.
right. But this one will be like the first big true segment to any of the trail systems. So it's a good first step. It's a nice big chunk, and it's in a good area where it should get lots of use. So I think those are all good elements. And as a resident and as a member of Bike North Penn, we heartily support the effort. So thank you.
And thank you for Bike North Penn's support of the application and all of our applications.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
I'm also going to spoil Commissioner Carter's section again by jumping in and ask the board to just delay on item 14. We just need a little more time on that one. So we will bring it up for future consideration.
Okay. So now, number 15, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Resolution 10-2026, ModCo 2040 grant application for indoor recreation building renovations in the amount of $250,000.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thanks for the extension, Patty. We're late on that resolution. No.
Number 16, motion to approve the Parks and Recreation Pole Barn Bid Award with alternates 1, 2, 3, and 4 to J.D. Fidel Construction and Demolition Incorporated in the amount of $486,525.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
That's it.
All right, moving to wastewater. I'd like to make a motion to approve a small water and sewer grant contract in the amount of $300,000. Is there a second?
Oh, wait, the second grant we're talking about that we got at this meeting? Just wanted to point out that's another one in that 5.4
Since 2020?
since 2020.
Thank you.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments besides the total number of grant funding we've been awarded since 2020? Any public comments? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Lastly, a couple items on the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to approve the March open invoices. May I have a second?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? Anna, will you please do the roll call?
President Moody,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney,
Aye.
Commissioner Mall.
Aye.
Motion passes. And lastly, I'd like to make a motion to approve the March paid invoices. May I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? Deanna, will you please do the roll call?
President Moody,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney,
Aye.
Commissioner Mall.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, everyone, for attending this evening. This meeting is adjourned.